Tony Zolecki.
How many got glasses in here? How many fought glasses for years? That's kind of where I am right now. Like, I can't see, but I don't want to wear glasses. So like my first step is putting a picture with my glasses on it. Like, that's like the first step. Like, I did that step, but Sarah's like, that's fine, but you should be wearing your glasses so you can see. So well, I'm not there yet. She goes, that's why people don't talk to people. So don't get mad in your business when people don't talk to people. You don't want to wear glasses. People don't want to talk to people. And I'm like, okay, I get that point. I'm going to wear my glasses if you all talk to people. Agreed?
Agreed.
You're going to talk to more people than you ever talked to before?
Fair.
Fair? I'm going to wear my glasses. Okay, so my family's a trip. How many met my family, my kids? I love them, I miss them. And I talked to Ava this morning, and first thing Ava said was this. Not Dad, how you doing? Not Dad, what's up? Not Dad, how's the event? Is Amy Gleave there? And I said, yeah, she's going to be there. Is she going to wear something sparkly? And I said, Amy Sparkle Gleave will wear something sparkly. So, Amy, are you in here? Stand up. Do you have something on that sparkles? Oh my God, Ava, look at that. Woo!
And I got stopped by TSA and my whole bag of sparkles. All the dealers set it off.
Crazy. Okay, Sparkle Gleave. And then Ava goes, what about John Melton? What about John Melton, Ava? Is he going to be wearing Gucci? John, are you wearing Gucci? Stand up. Oh, he is wearing Gucci. Dang, Ava, 2 for 2. Yeah, Ava knows. Ava knows. She's like, Gucci, Prada. I'm like, Levi's, Wranglers. Just joking. So when I got into the business, I became an event fanatic. And I'm like, I got to go to events. I got to be a part of events. Why? Because I was terrible at this business. Why? Because I needed to be around good energy. Why? Because I needed people to love on me and talk to me and tell me I'm amazing and tell me it'll be okay and tell me that I'll figure this out and tell me you'll win someday and tell me you'll go to the top someday, because I was really bad at this. And over the years, I've gone to over 1,000 different events. How cool is that? Networking events, personal growth events, events to meet people. Sarah and I were just at an event the other day in Minneapolis. A gentleman downtown's opened up a big space, 40,000 square foot space, and we got invited to this event. And it was really cool because you walked in there, and again, I walk in and, you know, I know people, I love people, I bond with people, but when you don't know anybody, what happens when you walk in a room? You're just like, hey, I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody. I'm looking for my guy from Ferrari. I'm like, where's the guy that sold me my car? He invited me here. I'm looking for him. I'm like, there he is. And he was like, I went by him right away and said, hey, what's up? And started talking to him. But then I became more comfortable. How many ever done that at an event before? Yeah. And then what happens is before I left the event, it kind of felt like I was running the event. How many ever been there before, right? Yeah. So, you know, when I started going to events, you know, I was getting filled up. I was learning. I was growing. And then I went to some really good events, and I'm like, this is how you do a good event. Have you ever been to a good event? Yeah. And then you've gone to an event, and you're like, man, this is not how you do an event, right? You want to leave. You want to come late. You want to, you know, take 24 hours off the, you know, event schedule and just go do something else in the city. And what we do best here is events. Would you agree with that? We are an event machine. And one of the things, if you understand events, is that you love them so much because of what's called full body immersion. What that means is this. That means is that when you're sitting in an event and you're here this weekend, the best way to learn, the best way to have a defining moment, the best way to grow, the best way to get something and put it into action is exactly when you leave, is being in the room, being immersed in the room and paying attention and listening and figuring it out and stuff like that. It's like a concert. Have you ever been to a concert before? A live concert, whoever that concert was. It's different than downloading the music. Would you agree with that? Yeah, it's way different. We just went to Justin Timberlake in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And Justin still can move. Justin still can groove. And he is a performer. And we were sitting there, and we were on the edge of our seat, and the music was coming, and people were just screaming off their butt, and they were having a blast. And we were just like, this is the best concert ever, right? Hit after hit after hit. It's the same thing YMO here does events. We could have did a virtual event, couldn't we have? But we did a live event. I didn't have millions of dollars to put into this weekend. Modere stepped up. Let's give Modere a round of applause. They put all the money into the event because they want us to get the most out of it. They want us to move and have a defining moment and really learn and get our butts in that action, right?
Yeah.
They want us to just go. They want us to grow. They want us to have so much success that we show the world we are the baddest, not only team on the planet, but we have the culture, we have the people, we have the teams that are coming in and going and just doing big things, and that's what this is about. So I want to give you an assignment. What do you want out of SRC? I want you to think about that right now. What do you want out of SRC? Some of you, this is your first. Some of you, it's your fifth. Sarah and I, it's our 12th. Crazy, right? Time flies when you're having fun. But what do you want out of this? 3 things, and you can do it now, you can do it later, but I want you, before tonight ends, to write down 3 things you want to get out of this weekend, and I want you to send them to your team. I want you to put them in your chats. I want you to put them in a text thread. I want you to put them in your Facebook groups, in your Telegram channel, in your WhatsApp, wherever you're communicating with people, right? But what are the 3 things you want out of SRC this weekend? And you lead. This is the room that moves the big room. You know that, right? This is the room that sets the tone for the whole week. Like, we're the leaders. We're the ones that can make this event be phenomenal, or we can make it be okay. And I'm in for phenomenal. Are you in for phenomenal? I know Michelle's in for phenomenal. We want to be phenomenal. So we set the pace. So that is the biggest thing I can tell you, is that our dream team here is some of the best leaders I ever worked with on the planet. But we have to go the extra mile, and I'm going to talk about how to go the extra mile. Now, you got to be the giver, meaning you've got to give people your time this weekend. You got to make them feel like $1 million. It's like when I went into that big networking meeting of that launch event, of that, space that, my friend just launched. Joseph, when I saw Joseph, he came, gave me a hug, gave Sarah a hug. How you doing, Tony? What's going on? How you liking the car? Look at my friend's space. Isn't it beautiful? Let me come over here. Come over and meet some people. And he took Sarah and I around, and we're meeting all these people in real estate, in the medical business, some people that ran different businesses. And we were like, man, this is pretty cool, Joseph. And we said to ourselves, you know what? He's making us feel like we want to stay here an extra hour. He's making us feel like, man, we can go and meet the rest of the room. But we need to do that this weekend. We need to take time, and no one eats alone this weekend. You see people in the hallway, chase them down.
Yep.
Introduce, did you ever get a hug from Margie Alaprandy? Anybody ever get a hug? I mean, she squeezed the air out of you. You know what I mean? Thanks, Margie. I love you too, man. You're amazing. Holy cow, I gotta be able to breathe. But I'll take those hugs. Because you know what? They're sincere. Right?
They are sincere. Yes.
Love you, Margie.
Yeah.
Love you too, baby.
So we've got to pick up the pace this weekend. So when you see people, spend some time with them. Introduce yourself. Hey, it's Tony Zolecki. I'm from Minneapolis. Where are you from? And here's an assignment I want to give you. What happens is when they see a Michelle Barnes or Rick and Michelle Teague or Steve and Lisa Cox or Lisa McGuire, right? They're like, hey, Michelle, can I have a selfie? And what's Michelle going to say? Of course, get over here. Let's do a selfie. But what we're going to ask you to do, let's have you ask them for the selfie the opposite way before they can ask you for the selfie. So as Michelle's strolling down the hall, meeting people, talking to people, she's going to meet Margie and say, hey, what's up? Michelle Barnes.
Hi, Michelle.
Hey, what's up? Hey, can we grab a selfie?
Oh, I'd love it.
And Michelle's going to go, click.
Michelle's going to go, that's my backside.
And then before the end of the day, before Michelle goes to sleep, she's going to message that selfie to Sarah on Messenger and say, hey, you know what, Sarah, it was so great meeting you. You're amazing. Thanks for being here this weekend and making the event epic. How about we do that this weekend?
Yeah.
How many want to be the giver this weekend? How many want to look out for people? How many want to make people go, man, I feel incredible? How many ever been to Disneyland before? How many ever put on the mouse ears? Anybody? When you put on the mouse ears, it's magical. Would you agree with that? You know what's crazy about Disneyland? Everyone's so freaking happy. No one's like frowning. No one's coming in with a bad day. No one's coming in with negative energy. No one's coming in complaining that they had to park a mile away and walk into the gate so that they could meet all these kids coming through the gate. Do you ever hear any of that at Disneyland?
No.
It is the most magical, happiest place on earth. And like everyone's happy. And you walk down the streets and you're like... And they got these machines where they pump out sugar through the vents. And you're like, this is amazing. God, everyone's smiling and they got their ears on. And I'm smelling all this good stuff. And you're like, give me some of that cotton candy. Give me that $35 hot dog. You know what I mean? Oh my God, this is amazing. You want what? Absolutely, Ava. You can buy ears for $150. That's a great deal, right? And you're just like in this mode of, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever. This is awesome. I've never been there before. Then you go home and look at your credit card bill and you're like, I spent $1,500 on a keychain, a water bottle, and some freaking ears? Really? But you never thought twice about it, did you?
Right.
Because they're so happy there. They're all happy. They're always smiling. And you want to go back and spend more money because you feel good, don't you?
Yes.
You feel like your kids are having a time of their life. They're doing everything in that environment. Here's an assignment for you this weekend. We're going to turn this place into Disneyland for 3 days. You know that, right? All of you got the ears this weekend. All of you got the ears. You're going to smile. You're going to pull people aside. You're going to spend some time with them. You're going to build them up. You're going to lift them up. You're going to get to know their story. You're going to connect with them on social. You're going to ask them maybe what their biggest challenge is. And then when they tell you what their biggest challenge is, you're going to use your past experiences because I know you had that challenge at one point or another in your business, true or false. And then you're going to give them some advice and you go, you know what, Margie, I get that. Let me tell you what happened to me when that happened and how I overcame that challenge. And boom, you tell them your story. And we're going to create this environment where people are like, I love everybody here. This culture is incredible. Wow, I can do this. I'm going to show my husband, maybe he's not supporting me, and I'm going to go home and I'm actually going to do this business and grow this business, and I'm going to go be somebody and make somebody of myself, and I'm going to do it in this environment with these amazing people. Can we all do that?
Yes, we can.
I love it. Okay, we got to be the example. So one of the things about being the example is before you lead anybody is, you got to lead yourself first. And being the example is interesting because, I just remember when I started first going to events, I was 19 years old. And Michelle remembers this because we were in the same company, same culture. And people were like, dang, you guys are weird. You know what I mean? Is this a cult? You guys go to these weekend trainings every weekend and you spend all this money and, you don't sleep. You sit in line. Literally, the event started at 9 a.m. And Michelle knows what I'm about to say. And we would be up at 4:30 in the morning and we would be in line where the main door is. And we would take the whole team would be in line, this person would go get coffee, this person would go get breakfast, and we would hold our line, and we'd be there 4 or 5 hours before the door opens. And we're in line, and we're buzzing, and we're having fun, and we're meeting people in the line, and we're telling stories, and we're goofing off, and when those doors open, we would what, Michelle? Run to the front. I mean, run. There was accidents sometime because we all were just like, we want the front row. We want the front row because they told us people in the front row make all the money. We're like, well, we want to be in the front row. Do you want to be in the front row? Yeah. So we've got to be the example. We get up early. You know what I mean? We don't stroll in, 15 minutes into Friday morning. We don't stroll in an hour into Saturday morning. Like, we get up early. We're there. We're meeting people. We're shaking people's hands. When we're sitting down, we're in it to win it. We've got energy. If you ever watch me sit in a chair, you'll never see me sit like this. I don't sit like this. That's how I like to sit.
Yep.
See the energy? See the energy here?
Different.
Sometimes I even get the rocking, right, Wayne? Yeah. But if I'm sitting here and this is my energy in the room, and I'm like, man, Michelle's crushing. Man, Margie's crushing. Man, Wayne just dropped some gold. And I'm in it. And then this person sitting next to me is like this. Oh, why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here? I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And I got good energy, and all of a sudden I'm just like, man, wasn't that amazing? Man, look at that. Man, such a good point. And all of a sudden they start going like this, to start like this, start like this, start like this, and then they're sitting like me.
Yeah.
And then we change the whole room, right? Because usually the beginning of the room, the first 10, 15 rows are always solid. Do you know what I'm talking about? But then we lose the middle of the room, or we lose the back end of the room. And we lose the middle of the room and the back end of the room because there's no energy in there. So wherever you're sitting, not everyone can sit in the first 5, 10 rows. So if you're in the middle, give energy. You know what I mean? Laugh at the jokes. Raise your hand. Do this with your head. Rock back and forth. Thank you. Rock back and forth like this. You know what I mean? Everybody do this for me right now. Can you do that? Okay, you're going to hear the same jokes you heard for year in and year out. Oh my God, here comes Melton. Spamela Anderson. Here it comes, Spamela. Spamela. Spamela Anderson. Oh, you're thinking to yourself, John Silver's 8 years in a row. Spamela Anderson. This is awesome. Spamela Anderson. So laugh at the jokes, right? You have to laugh at the jokes. The jokes aren't for you. You know that, right? You're in. You're moving. You're elite. You're building pods. You're growing teams. You're showing up big. This ain't for you. You know who it's for? The brand new person who spent every dime out of their pocket to show up in Houston, Texas, and didn't bail like the other people bailed. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be that person. Listen. Margie, she can affect 20 people like this. Rick and Michelle, 20 people like this. Sarah, 20 people. Shiloh, she shows up in a room. Man, people sit up. Man, hey Shiloh, what's up, right? Because she has that kind of impact. And I can go around the room and the people in the back, it's the same thing. So let's use that to our advantage. Why hide it? Why not bring it out? That's how this becomes great. It's like, yeah, some of you won't hit the stage in the big room this weekend, but you're in the crowd, which is more important than people on the stage. You know that, right? Yeah. Your stage is the crowd. You get to move the crowd. Think about that. You get to make the middle of the room, the back end of the room, so strong, so positive, so exciting, so in that moment. Think about this, the front and the middle of the room. This is my goal by Saturday. The front, the middle, the end of the room. Is everybody is like this. On the edge of their seat. And they're just like, man, give me more. Give me more. I want more. Man, this is incredible. The whole room's like this. You feel the energy? Yeah. You feel how good it is? Oh my God, this is incredible. Wow. Man, thank you. But we got to lead out. And again, take care of people this weekend. Now you might say, well, Tony, they're not a part of my team. Stop. If you see people this weekend, buy them a cup of coffee. If you see people this weekend, pull them into your team party if they're straggling in the halls and they have nowhere to go. If you see people this weekend and they're eating alone, don't let them eat alone. Bring them into your world and bless them and give them some of your love and all the stuff that you do so well at. You know what I'm saying? So let's go that extra mile. Are you with me on going the extra mile? Yes. I love it. Okay. So I really want you to work on this. I want you to work on giving everybody a role. So a lot of you brought some big teams here. I know Sam's here somewhere, and Sam's got like 100 people here in her team. And let's give Sam a round of applause because that's a big deal, right? There you are. Okay, rehearsal. So, the thing I love is that, some of you have big teams here. Some of you have small teams here. But let's give the people that are here a role to play. Let's have them be a part of this, more than just sitting in the crowd, sitting in the chairs, learning and taking in the information. Who's going to be the one that saves some seats? Let's give that person a role. Who's going to be one that picks out the restaurants the team is going to on Friday night or Saturday afternoon or whatever it is? Who's going to pick out the restaurants? Who's the one that's going to take the notes? Because there's always I'm not a really good note taker, but I do my best. But there's some note takers that are bomb.com. You know what I'm talking about right now? You see them in chats right now. You're in chats, and they'll drop notes from an event or from a Zoom or something that's happening, and you're like, holy cow, this is the most amazing thing, right? So who's going to be the person in your team that's doing the notes that after every session then takes those notes and puts them in the chats, puts them in the groups, puts them in WhatsApp, puts them in the channels, right? So that everybody can get it. Give people a role, because if you give them a role, guess what? You just gave them ownership of the event, didn't you, Margie? You just gave them, they're a part of this thing. They want to be, in it to win it, and they're like, man, I feel good. And they're brand new. But that's how we get this thing moving. How many are feeling this right now? Yeah. How many are willing to just go the extra mile? Because I know I'm asking for a lot. You know what I mean? Because typically it's like, man, Tony, I just like to kind of come here and, kind of hang out and, have a good time. And you want me talking to people? Dang, man. Like, yeah, I do want you talking to people. You know what I mean? Because you're good. Because, you're awesome and you light people up and we need you. You know what I mean? Like, we need everybody in this room, and we need everybody that's going to be in the big room. And people say, well, I was talking to a friend the other day. They're like, how are you going to grow again? I go, man, we do events better than anybody else. I go, we're going to be in Houston right now. We're going to take 500 people, whatever the number is. We're going to turn it into 5,000 in 6 months.
Yep.
We're going to create more rank advancements. We're going to have more new stories. We're going to have more people winning at all these different kinds of levels, and it's going to be all over social, and people are going to be so fired up to see what we're doing and how we're doing it, and they're going to be like, whoa, Mo Dare, dang, wow, whoa, right? And we're going to be like, yeah, that's us. That's how we roll, Kayla, right? Yeah. That's how Kayla rolls, I know that. And that's how we roll. So we get to transform whatever we want it to look like. You know that, right? It's not just corporate. It's not just Wayne and Bethany, right? It's not just Jen Piper. It's all of us. If we come together and really lock arms on this, this will be the most talked about event, not only in Modere history, but in profession history. And there'll be more stories that come out of Houston, Texas in the next 12, 18, 24, 36 months of people that were brand new that went elite, people that were brand new that went platinum black, people that were brand new that now have 3 elite 3s on their team because of Houston, Texas, people that showed up by themselves and they're coming to an event in 2028 and they have 200 people in their team with them and they're like, Kayla, you know what? I was at that Houston thing and it was just me. Yes. But thank you because you didn't let me eat alone and you poured into me and you talked about your social media and how you do live video. And I actually started watching you, Kayla, and I started doing live video. And now I got like 200 people here, Kayla. And I just want to say thank you. That's how we roll. Would you agree with that? So you've got to see it before it happens. You've got to see it crystal clear. We all see it crystal clear. If you don't see it crystal clear, we'll help you see it crystal clear. So this is our event together. And as I wrap up today, I just want to tell you that the last 12 years Sarah and I have been here, it's been a dream come true. We wouldn't have it any other way, the way it's gone down, the way it's rolled out, the way it's happened. We wouldn't have it any other way. And we love the moment we're in. And this moment is special for each and every one of us in the room. But besides us, we're going to make it special for each and every one of the people that show up in the big room. And we're going the extra mile and we're doing it together. We're peers. We get to lock arms. We get to build at a level that no one's ever seen before, because when we come together, we're stronger. When we come together, we're more powerful. When we come together, we're unstoppable.
Well, man, did anybody else feel the boot kick from Terry? I'm like, wow. I'm like, yes, ma'am. Marching orders. Oh, my goodness. Well, happy International Women's Day to all those amazing women here today. How cool is that it's our conference and we're celebrating today? I just think it's just so awesome. Sorry, guys, but it is awesome for women. All right, guys, so I want to take you back a little bit, okay? So I was 23 years old. I was living in Orlando, Florida. I was actually working the business. I was, a couple years in. I was working in an office. There was 100 people working in an office, and that was kind of back in the day where we would have presentations in an office. And I remember when I was working in there, there's always like these special guests that come to town, right? And a lot of times these special guests were people that you would see on a Zoom, right? Or you would see like on a success story. And I'll never forget, I was kind of setting up the room, getting the chairs ready, excited for this event. And I was sitting down in the back and I feel this hand on the back of my shoulder, and it was really like a big hand, right? And I remember, sitting there, and I looked up and I looked at him, and I freaked out because it was actually someone that I'd seen in a success story. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he looked at me, and all he said is, kid, you're up. And I'm like, up to what? Like, what are you talking about? Right? Mind you, I had like 2 people in my team, okay? I was not like the epitome of success by any means. And he said, you're up. He's like, I asked them, I needed someone to actually introduce me, and I would love for you to introduce me in front of the room, getting the event started. And I'll never forget, I was sweating bullets. I was thinking anything I could to try to get out of it. I was like, should I say I got a stomachache? Should I really try to throw up? Like, what should I do? Like, I was like freaking, right? And so I'm like, God, I got to do it, right? I got to do it. And I was in front of my peers, so I didn't want to look like an idiot. And you guys know, we've been to all the trainings. You got to push through the fear. It's uncomfortable. Do it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. And I'll never forget. I walk up to the room, and I'm actually going to do a reenactment of what happened. Okay? Because I'll never forget this. It's one of those like defining moments that you have in your business. And I'll never forget. I was so nervous. I was standing in back of the room, and I walk up to the room. Okay, I walk up the one side. I walk up to the front of the room, just like this, and I'm standing there, and I completely draw a blank. Anyone ever do that? Like blackout, like nothing happening in here, just a bunch of marbles rolling around your brain, like nothing is going on. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't remember the guy's name. I remembered nothing, right? And we had just had like a training on edification, how to edify leaders, talk about them. Like, I forgot everything. And it was back in the day when like slang, like you would say words like the bomb. You're the bomb, Jen, you're the bomb, right? Okay? Do you guys get where I'm going with this? Horrible, horrible. So I walk up the stage, I walk all the way up here, I get to the front, and I get up there, and I'm like, hey, everybody. And instead of like addressing everyone in the crowd and whatever, I'm like, oh my God, you guys are here. Like surprised they showed up. Like terrible. Oh my God, I was like losing my mind. And I said that, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited for you guys to meet Scott. He's the bomb. Here he is. And I walked off the stage. Okay. But mind you, not only did I walk off the stage, I walked off the stage, walked down there, walked out the back, and I walked right to the bathroom, and I sat in a bathroom stall. Like, I walked right out of the room. And what was so crazy is, at the end of the night, he came up to me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Kind of didn't go the way I planned. I don't know what happened. And I asked him, though, and I said, why did you pick me? I don't even know you. You know what I mean? I'm just like a little peon, just trying to make it, selling some water filters. It was crazy, right? And he said, I asked them in the office who had the most belief, not based on rank or title or anything, and they pointed to you. And I want to share with you guys that belief, it's everything. You've kind of heard, I've talked, I've heard so many amazing presenters, right? Hasn't it been an incredible weekend? Oh my gosh, it's been awesome. And it's so cool how God works, how he kind of just weaves messages throughout this entire weekend, even though none of us presenters really talked about our topics. I never sat down with Samantha and said, hey, let's go through the presentations together. We didn't, right? But it's so cool how that just kind of organically happened. And so I want to share with you, it's so important about belief, but also enthusiasm. And it's important to think about, how do you guys actually grow your enthusiasm? How do you protect your enthusiasm, right? Because we got to protect it through all the goods and bads and all the things that happen in this business. How do you guys actually protect it? And so I'm excited because we're going to talk about, how do you actually elevate your belief, okay? This is actually a picture of me. This is when I was on stage, guys. This is the very first time I came up. I introduced him. I don't know if you guys recognize, for those of you hairstylists, my God, I don't know what's going on. My roots were so bad. I'm like, I needed my hair done bad. But I was wearing either a JCPenney suit that I think I put on on layaway or Maurice's. Anyone remember that? If you remember that, we all better be drinking a lot of collagen, okay? That's all I gotta say. If you know what I'm talking about, you better be guzzling that. And I was so proud. I was so proud. I stood up in front of that room, and that was me when I did my introduction, and I just completely went blank. But I think it's so important for us to just really focus on, like, be the person that you let your ambitions, the things that drive you, your passion, your enthusiasm, like, push it past all the insecurities that you have, right? And one of the things that I want to share with you guys is that our business, or actually really belief, because there's rings of belief in your business, and there's rings of belief in your life. And I don't know if you guys, any of you guys ever like seen an actual sequoia tree, or actually anybody? Yeah, incredible, right? Tony and I, we lived in Northern California for a few years. But for those of you that haven't, giant sequoias are massive, right? They average their rings, they have 2,000 to 3,000 rings. Massive, right? And every ring represents a year. And what happens when it first grows, right? It's like this little sapling. How many agree, like, as a little sapling, like, it's not that strong, right? Blow in the wind, can flop over, can flop through, right? But as it continues to grow, through the storms, through the incredible times, through all the different things, through the droughts, whatever, right? It grows stronger and stronger and stronger, right? And that's the same thing in our business, is that when you first get started, you're this little sapling, and you don't really have a ring yet. Right? And so your belief is a little bit wobbly, and you're leaning on your sponsor's belief, and you're leaning on the belief that you might maybe on a Zoom that you hear a leader do, and you're like, man, they're saying this, I hope so, right? And but the longer that you're around, and the more ebbs and flows you go through, and the seasons of life, and all the things in our business, your rings get stronger and stronger till you're this unstoppable, right? And so you got to figure out, how do I actually like nurture my belief? How do I continuously how do I continuously grow it with specific things that it needs till it becomes unstoppable? Okay? So I'm going to give you guys what I call belief boosters. How many need some belief boosters? Okay? So let's talk a little bit about this, okay? The one thing I want to share with you guys, this is what I wrote down. As I said, the bigger the belief, or bigger the rings, the more belief you build, the more success you can sustain. Okay? So, first one. This is me. Tony and I, we found this picture last week. I was like, wow, okay. Guys, this is my very first distributor I ever signed up in my business. Oh my God, it's crazy. Took me 3 years to find this girl. I'm like, where you been? It's been a long haul, you know what I mean? I found somebody. But guys, this is my very first distributor, and it's crazy because, you know, as I was, learning how to grow in this business, it was really learning about how to elevate my belief, right? We heard a lot of great people talk about this weekend, just about ways to elevate your belief, like what to do, how it works. But I think for me, like elevating my belief, like I had to come to the realization that I was capable, that I was worthy, that I was deserving. And I hope all of you guys have caught this weekend. Maybe you came in the door, a couple days ago, and maybe you didn't feel capable. Maybe you didn't feel worthy. Maybe you didn't feel like I can pull this off. I hope you guys feel different. Do you guys feel different? Yeah. You guys feel it? Totally, right? So this is my very first check in network marketing. Wasn't very sexy. I don't know if you guys can read it. I made a whopping $945.20 for an entire year. Success story. Yeah, going to the top, okay? But here's my point, is that we got to start somewhere. And it's just like, I think for myself, like when it comes to believing in you, I think what I think is so important is that, whatever we focus on, guys, like that's what's going to grow. You know what I mean? My daughter's going through a lot of kind of anxiety stuff we've been dealing with for the last couple of years, but it's like, anytime I can get her to shift, it's amazing. As soon as she shifts, she focuses on that. And so I think it's so important for us to learn how to make those shifts when things aren't necessarily going the way we want them to go in this business, and continuously just moving, right, and moving forward. So let's talk about belief in a couple of things, okay? So we're going to talk about belief in the company. We're going to talk about belief in product, right? We're going to talk about belief in opportunity. Because at the end of the day, it's not really about all of those things, guys. It's about your conviction. How are you convicted in these areas, right? We're going to talk about knowing the brand. We're going to talk about living the brand. We're going to talk about building the brand, right? So you got to be able to do all of those. So the first thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about knowing, like, the brand. right? Like this was such a great week and that we learned so much more about the mission statement and where we're going and the heart of Modere and like all of those great things, right? Awards and all those, like, know that stuff, right? Again, I love what Terry talked about. She's like, you are in business, so know your stuff, right? So knowing the brand, it's going to help elevate you and give you belief. Right? I remember when I first learned all about the product line and the awards and accolades and all of those different things, I got so proud. Like, do you guys not feel proud to represent Modere? When I meet people, I'm waiting. Like, if Dave and I were just meeting each other, I'm waiting for David to say, what do you do? Because I can't wait to tell him because I'm so proud to be part of Modere, right? So understanding and knowing the brand is the first part, okay? Second part is living the brand. Right? I think most of us, we do a great job of, my thing is slipping, that's okay. A great job of like being your best customer, right? Immersing yourself in the products, right? All the time, we should be creating new stories every month because we have so many incredible products that each month you should be creating a new story for yourself. Like focusing on having that. Like one product is great to have for a story, but what about having 20 and 30 and 40 different ones for ourselves, right? So really doing that. But also too, not just living the brand, but I also would say like sharing the stories, right? How many guys had some great conversations this weekend where you talked about great stories, right? And testimonials and things that were working for people, right? Build the brand. Okay, what does that mean? Build the brand means like showcasing on success stories from other people, right? Maybe it's your story, right? But I think, building the brand piece, like that is so important. But I think now, more than ever, Modere has equipped us with so many tools to already help us do that. Okay, so I think it's important because I want to show you guys this because this is actually really how when Tony and I started building the business, our thought and everything that we did, we treated our business exactly like this. Take a look at this.
Everybody in the audience, and listen to me carefully, is being given a special package, and I don't want you to open it. Do not open it. So do not open it until I tell you. All right, open your glasses. Open your glasses. Good.
Imagine if your belief was like that, guys. Every single time when you talk to people, you were like, this is going to be the greatest gift that you're ever going to get, and you are going to be thanking me that I opened my mouth and talked to you. Yeah. Right? Because some of us are walking around like we got the best kept secret. I don't get it. Tony and I, we didn't. We were out there. We were hustling. We're like, here's it. You don't want the gift? Give it back to me. Oh, you don't want it? Like, I wasn't like, it never came from like begging people because I was so proud. Again, I knew my brand. I was living my brand. I was building my brand, right? And so, I want you to have that attitude of like, oh my God, like I have the greatest gift out there, but we've got to get out there and really share it. Okay? Elevate your vision, okay? This is elevate your vision. We talked a little bit about vision earlier, but I love this vision piece because this is Tony and I. God, my God, have we come a long way. Woo! That was our first vision board. Crazy. We still have it. It's wild. I don't know. Neither one of us ever picked up a guitar. I don't know what we were thinking. I don't know. Maybe it's Tony wanting to live out his rock star years. I don't know. If you guys saw last night, you guys know what I'm talking about. I wanted
to be Steven Tyler.
Yeah, he wants to be, yeah, okay. But I don't know where that came from. But I think that I love this because the reality is it's close to like 98% of people out there have actually quit dreaming. You know what I mean? They they shelf their dreams. They're kind of I-O, it's off to work I go. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Anyone else hate that saying? I hate it. When people say it to me, I'm like, oh, dude, don't say that, Because it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't, right? But what I love about having a vision like this, even though we had nothing at the time, is that our vision board, it gave us purpose. It gave us meaning. It gave us like something to drive towards, right? A lot of you guys have goals, which are great, but I just think that a goal is just motivation to get somewhere. You know what I mean? And it's like having the vision piece is like the long-term thing. Like for Tony and I, almost 30 years later, we're still have our eye on the prize of the vision, right? So if people asked you, like, what is your vision, right? And that seemed like a really big word to me. Again, I grew up, I was 21 when I saw this business. I was a nanny, you know what I mean? I had no business being in business. People talked about vision, residual income. They were all foreign words to me. But the vision piece I got excited about because I thought about, like, what would it look like? Think about this. What does it look like for you when you've arrived? And arrived could be something different for everybody, you know what I mean? But what does that actually look like? What's that scene that plays out in your head? What does that look like, right? And so we created this scene, but the second part of that is we were willing to work towards that scene, you know what I mean? We were willing to grow into that scene. And so I want to encourage you, like, if you don't have that set, you got to set it. And I know that it might feel a little bit weird. It might feel a little bit awkward, but, I know for us, even like when I look at when this was the beginning of Modere. When we sat down and we were in a room, like, these are pieces of paper that we put up of, like, what do we want to do here? Let's create promo codes. Let's create daily pay. Let's create, you know what I mean? Like all the wonderful things that we all get to be a part of today. And this is me actually very, very pregnant in Japan. They sent me to Japan to try to, like, get Japanese men excited. Great idea, guys. I was totally pregnant and blonde hair. I was like, wow, okay. So anyways, but guess what? We did it. They got fired up. Oh, that was hard. I told Tony, I go, Tony, no jokes because they don't remember, and please, no jokes because they can't get it. It's translation. Don't go there. And but that was us, like the vision. We were out there and we were like, social retail, this is what we're doing. We're, you know what I mean? We're changing lives and, we're all these different things, all the things that you guys know about, right? And so we just always had that vision in front of us, and it was the scene of, like, what one day could be and what could happen, and we were willing to work our way and grow our way, right, into that scene. And so I want to encourage you, like, have that vision for you. Some of you guys, I know that it's hard to create that, but I promise you, if you do, it's really going to be that carrot that's going to just keep you continuously moving through your entire business. Years and years and years later, just like us, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I had that vision board. I had that vision that I wanted to create, and now look where I am. It's so cool to look back on years later. All right. So one thing that I want to encourage you, and I want to go back real quick, because there was a time that someone had sat me down, and it was so good because he shared with me something that really was about making sure that you just continuously stay on your horse, meaning working and not wanting to throw the towel in. And when he sat me down, he had this really serious conversation, and he said, Sarah, I want you to get out a piece of paper and I want you to write just these simple words. And these simple words were, I gave up my dreams because. So write that down. I gave up my dreams because. And he said, every time that you feel like your business isn't working, you're having a bad day, you want to throw the towel in, somebody told you no, next door neighbor said, oh, you're one of those deals, your bestie signed up and then she quit 3 seconds later. Every time you do, and you want to have a pity party, you want to freak out, you want to say this doesn't work, you need to look down at that and you need to say, I gave up my dreams because, and you have to put that. I gave up my dreams because my neighbor told me I was weird. I gave up my dreams because blah, blah. And I did that a few times, and guess what? I felt pretty dumb. Right? I felt pretty dumb. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And I'll never forget that. That was probably 25 years ago. But it helped me push and continue and always be, working towards my vision of what one day that I want to create, my magical scene, right? What does it look like when I've arrived, right? And mind you, we're not even close to what I want to do with this business. I'm so excited. But when it comes to elevating belief, right? So we're going to talk about these different rings. We talked about elevating you, right? Terry did a great job. Elevating belief in you, right? And the ways that you guys can do that, you're in this environment is one thing. It's so important, right? We talk about elevating your belief in product, right? All the different ways of loving and living and knowing the brand. But then also to elevating your belief in, like, having your vision. But also, I think it's so important. I love this piece where it talks about your belief is contagious. It really is, guys. It's so become contagious. right? When you elevate your belief, right, you inspire your team to do the same. You inspire others to do the same. And so I love what I call the power of elevating just belief together. Think about this weekend. Have we not elevated belief together? Right? It's so much. How many of you guys already feel like it's so much bigger now? Right? It's like, now it's like, right? Can't you feel it? Like, I feel it and I love it. Right? And it comes from like modeling it first and then it spreads, right? But it's also just like, elevating the language of how we speak to each other and how we speak to our teams and encouraging. I tell people, become a professional encourager. That's what I do. I love people into their success story. Right? I just love them and love them and love them and love them until the green light goes and they figure it out, right? And then they hit it, right? But it's about kind of creating that movement. I want you guys to see this because how many of you guys ever, well, first of all, I was too poor. I never had a pool. But how many of you guys had a pool or know people that had a pool? And do you remember when you were little and you created like the whirlpool? Right? Anybody else do that? Oh, God, I love it. It's such great fun memory, right? And you would get in and you'd be running around, right? And then someone else would get in and it'd just be like a tornado in there, right? And you're like, ah! And it was actually kind of something like this, right? This is what it looked like. Right? I got Benny Hill on here. Some of you guys don't know, but that's what it is. Right? But when you create it and you get going and going, right? And it was awesome. And this is what happens, guys, when you elevate belief together, right? And you just go and you go. And it kind of keeps going, okay? But, keeps going. But that's what happens. And that's what we want to do is people get caught up in it. Right? Caught up in how many of you guys kind of maybe don't know what happened this weekend, but you're caught up. You're like, I'm caught up. I don't know, right? But it's that feeling and it's that belief, and that's the thing that we want to instill. And why, I believe with every cell in my body, we have so many incredible teams and so many incredible just leaders that are here that just sweep people up into this incredible movement of Modere and what we're doing. But I will tell you though, elevating belief, guys, it's a daily choice. You have to choose every day. It's not something that like you just kind of do every once in a while. Like you got to choose it. But the most important thing that I feel is that the only way that you can really create belief is action. Okay? Is action. And I think about like, anybody ever see the documentary with Steph Curry, Underrated? Okay, so for those who know, Steph Curry, basketball player. Hello, I think most of us know, right? And but I love the story of what he talks about is that for a long time he was a terrible shooter because he would never shoot. He was super fearful and like he just never did it. And now he's like the greatest shooter of all time because he finally decided to start taking the shots. And what one of his coaches taught him is he said, hey, the way that you create confidence is through being aggressive. So guys, the way that you create belief in your business is by taking the action and being aggressive. You're going to create, sometimes we think, we'll create the confidence and then we'll go do the action, right? But it's the other way around. The way that you become a great basketball player is you got to take the action. You got to take the shots. You got to do the thing, right? I remember my daughter, Ava, she is traveling basketball and she's like the tiniest peanut, but I love her. She's like, Mom, it doesn't matter because I can just run around everybody. I just love that, She's like, I might not be good in all those areas, but I got that, so it's good. And I remember this year she wouldn't shoot. She was like, Tony's just like, she'd be the kid that like, she was like the ultimate team player where she would run around, do all the things, but then right when she'd get ready to shoot, she would freeze because I knew that like something was messing with her head and she would just pass it to somebody and then they would shoot. And we were always like, Ava, why won't you shoot? And it was a total God thing because we were flipping through the channels one day on Apple TV and I saw this, and she's a big basketball fanatic. And that's when I showed her this. I said, Ava, let's watch this documentary. I had no idea what it was about. But halfway through this documentary, I saw my kid get a light bulb moment. Oh, so cool. Has anyone ever seen when your kid clicks, it clicks on them? Guys, when it clicks, someone's like, yes. Isn't it cool? You're like, freaking got it. Like, it's just so awesome. And the next day she had a tournament and it was so cool because a lot of the parents knew that she wasn't shooting and all of a sudden she was shooting and she was shooting and she was shooting and she was getting baskets and we were freaking. I think the other team thought we were crazy because the parents were excited because she was finally shooting. They're like, yeah. And we were like, yeah. right? Mind you, it's only 4th grade basketball, but how many of you guys know it gets intense? Okay? If you don't know my daughter, she's scrappy, okay? She is scrappy. But it's so, but my point is, she decided to stop waiting to finally become confident to take the action. You know what I mean? She did it the other way around. I'm like, Ava, you got to get aggressive first. That's how it's going to come. Right? So for some of you guys that are kind of still hanging on and you're thinking, hey, I'm going to create the confidence, like you got to make the movement. The movement piece in our business is what's going to get you super, super fired up.